Hare Krishna, Purvis Madhis. Welcome all of you on the 1st of January 2026. So, wish you all a happy Krishna conscious New Year. So, today we'll be starting with Bhagavad Gita, verse number 4.12, which we'll be discussing. So, let's start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatamarantasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Shivaya Krishna Krishna Bhakta Shri Mahavishnu Swami Krishna Guru Shri Shri Krishna Jai Shri Krishna. So today's verse is from Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter, verse number 12. Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha Kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha Kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. In fact, it's better to read the purport first, very beautifully given by Prabhupada. So, purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There's a great misconception about the gods or demigods of this material world. And men of less intelligence, although passing as great scholars, take these demigods to be various forms of the Supreme Lord. Actually, the demigods are not different from forms of God, but they are God's different parts and parcels. God is one, and the parts and parcels are many. The Vedas say, Nityo Nityanam, God is one. Ishvara Paramaha Krishna, the Supreme God is one, Krishna. And the demigods are delegated with powers to manage this material world. These demigods are all living entities, Nityanam, with different grades of material power. They cannot be equal to the Supreme God, Narayana, Vishnu or Krishna. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or Pashandi. Even the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva cannot be compared to the Supreme Lord. In fact, the Lord is worshipped by demigods such as Brahma and Shiva, Shiva Virinchi Nutam. Yet curiously enough, there are many human leaders who are worshipped by foolish men under the misunderstanding of anthropomorphism or zoomorphism. Iha Devata denotes a powerful man or demigod of this material world. But Narayana, Vishnu or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, does not belong to this world. He is above or transcendental to material creation. Even Sripada Shankaracharya, the leader of the impersonalists, maintains that Narayana or Krishna is beyond this material creation. However, foolish people, Hritagyana, worship the demigods because they want immediate results. They get the results, but do not know that results so obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent persons. The intelligent person is in Krishna consciousness, and he has no need to worship the paltry demigods for some immediate temporary benefit. The demigods of this material world, as well as their worshippers, will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. The boons of the demigods are material and temporary. Both the material worlds and their inhabitants, including the demigods and their worshippers, are bubbles in the cosmic ocean. In this world, however, human society is mad after temporary things such as the material opulence of possessing land, family, and enjoyable paraphernalia. To achieve such temporary things, people worship the demigods or powerful men in human society. If a man gets some ministership in the government by worshipping a political leader, he considers that he has achieved a great boon. All of them are therefore kowtowing to the so-called leaders or big guns in order to achieve temporary boons. and they indeed achieve such things. Such foolish men are not interested in Krishna consciousness for the permanent solution to the hardships of material existence. They are all after sense enjoyment, and to get a little facility for sense enjoyment, they are attracted to worshipping empowered living entities known as demigods. This verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment, and therefore they worship some powerful living entity. Prabhupada, Chancellor Prabhupada ki jai. Jagannath Bade Suramai ki jai, Narasimha Bhagwan ki jai, Panchatattva ki jai, Shri Goswami ki jai, Guru Parampara ki jai, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. It's a very, very powerful verse, right? People have so many misconceptions. That's what Prabhupada is telling the purport itself. See, the process of self-realization has been so much simplified in this age. And why, in spite of that simplification, we have difficulties to take up the process? So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought it is very difficult for these people to chant Mahamantra also. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? He told us to chant only Krishna, and in a nice way. So Mahaprabhu sings. So let us start this year with this beautiful Mahaprabhu's singing of only Krishna. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. So we are settled in with Krishna, right? So this is very nice, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sings. You cannot chant even Hare Krishna Mahamantra, so just Krishna. Just one word, no? It is very nicely said. It is very nicely said in the Vedas. Krishna Krishna Krishneti Yomam Smarati Nityasah Jalam Bhitva Yatha Padmam Narakadapi Udharmyaham. Those who remember and chant the holy name of Krishna always, I deliver them, even from hell, just like the lotus flower comes out of even muddy waters. Jai Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. So we just started with Hare Krishna, Happy Krishna Conscious New Year, right? See, the moment we remember New Year, we remember with the New Year resolutions, right? So everyone takes so many resolutions to be followed in the New Year. So the desire to change and become better personalities is actually innate in each one of us. We want to become better and better, right? But the important thing to remember is that whatever improvements we are trying to make in our lives and in our heart, is it helpful for us in pleasing our Guru, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna? You know, spiritual culture means a deep transformation in our heart, which is reflected in the transformation of our character and behavior. So this essentially means the development of all the good qualities. So my Guru Maharaj, he says that a majority of the verses in the scriptures, they are related to our behavior in our day-to-day life. He always quotes a very nice verse from Bhagavatam 4:21-44. Gunayanam Shila Dhanam Kritagyam Vriddashrayam Samvamate Anu Sampadaha. Whoever acquires the Brahminical qualifications, whose only wealth is good behavior, who is grateful and who takes shelter of experienced persons, gets all the opulence of the world. And Prabhupada says all living entities are part and parcel of Krishna. And therefore, when they revive their original Krishna consciousness, they possess all the good qualities of Krishna in a small quantity. See, only by the presence of these good qualities can one distinguish a Vaishnava from a non-Vaishnava. The point to understand is there must be never a disconnect. There must never be a disconnect between reading and studying Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and behavior. So what is the point if you are a great Pandit of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, but you do not have the qualities of a devotee? If you're not loving in your dealings, it's a very powerful point which my Maharaj always used to say. If you're not loving in your dealings, what is the point of stopping eating meat? When your tongue is speaking harsh words, and it's just like another slaughterhouse. It cuts through people as just as good people cut through meat and eat that, right? So we should on this new day, we should reflect on our behavior as we study Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So the whole of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is nothing but behavior. That is why Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is B. B for behavior. So if you have these two B's, then you are peaceful. Where there is Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, there must be a change in our lives. If there is Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and there is no change in our lives, that means we are just reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, but we are not accepting Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. See, whatever we were 1 year ago, we should not be 1 year later. Means for the better, okay? So whatever anartha things which are not wanted, these things must be given up. So keeping this in our mind, we must commit ourselves to taking some resolutions beginning from today, right? So let us pray to Guru, Srila Prabhupada and Krishna with deep sincerity every day morning to give us the strength to practice good behavior for the day. And also pray to Krishna as Bhakti Vinoda Thakur prays. What does he pray? Oh Gopinath, after sitting down in the core of my heart and subduing my mind, please take me to you. In this way, the horrible dangers of this world will disappear. You are Rishikesha, the Lord of the senses. Seeing me so helpless, please control the senses of mine from this dark and perilous worldly existence. See, we may not be pure, but we must try to change ourselves for the better. So what happens now? The sincere attempt that we do will attract Krishna. That's why every day we are hearing Bhagavad Gita, right? Then Bhagavatam classes are there. So this is what our behavior should change for the better. See, in 17.4 Bhagavad Gita translation, coming to this verse, men in mode of goodness worship the demigods. Those who move in the mode of passion worship the demons. And those in the mode of ignorance worship ghosts and spirits. Srimad, see, we are talking in this verse about the worshipping of demigods for immediate results and all. See, in Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, 3rd chapter, verse numbers 2 to 7, we find Shukadeva Goswami telling Parikshit Maharaj about the different demigods who have to be worshipped for fulfilling various kinds of material desires. So for each and every desire, a material body is ready for us. This is a point to understand. We have a desire, but please understand that every desire, a material body is ready for us in the assembly line. So be careful what you are desiring. So these desires keep us entangled in the cycle of birth and death for the material desires. So please, I am not going to recite the whole thing. So from 2nd canto, 3rd chapter, verse number 2 to 7, you can see. If you do this, if you want this, please worship this demigod. If you want this, please worship this demigod. See, for fulfillment of our desires, we may go to demigods. But demigods are themselves limited. None of them can give liberation from cycle of birth and death. They also fulfill our desires as per the sanction of the Supreme Lord Krishna. And they are subservient to the Lord, right? So whatever desires that are fulfilled by demigods are not going to give us permanent bliss. This we must understand. See, when one of the desire gets fulfilled, okay, what happens? It leads us to more and more. So no end to our desires. Since material desires causes us so much misery and keep us loitering from one body to another, right? So Prabhupada says in the purport, one should therefore not desire any sort of material enjoyment. Being sensible enough to worship Supreme Personality of Godhead is very, very important. So the various kinds of demigod worship, which was given in 2, 3, 7 to 9, right? But Sukadeva Goswami in the 2, 3, 10 verse says that all kinds of people, that is Akama, Sakama and Mokshakama, all of them can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. See, for a liberated person, all the enjoyments which are listed in that right, are considered to be absolutely useless. Only those who are conditioned by the material modes of external energy, they are captivated by the different types of material enjoyment. So the transcendental, one is known as the transcendentalist, right? A transcendentalist, no material desires to be fulfilled. Whereas a materialist, yes, all the types of desires to be fulfilled. So that's why the Lord, he has proclaimed that the materialists who desire material enjoyment and thus seek the favor of different demigods, as we saw on that in Bhagavatam, they are not in control of their senses. And so they give themselves to nonsense. So Prabhupada says in the purport of 2310, one should therefore not desire any sort of material enjoyment and being sensible enough to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He says the leaders of the nonsensical persons, they are still more nonsensical because they preach openly and foolishly that one can worship any form of demigod and get the same result. This sort of preaching is not only against the teachings of Bhagavad Gita or those of Srimad Bhagavatam, but is also foolish. Just as it is foolish to claim that with the purchase of any travel ticket, one may reach the same destination. See, no one can reach Bombay from Delhi by purchasing a ticket for Baroda. So it is clearly defined that persons impregnated with different desires have different modes of worship. But one who has no desire for material enjoyment, right, should worship the Supreme Lord Krishna. And this worshipping process is called devotional service. So pure devotional service means service to the Lord without any tinge of material desire, including desire for fruitive activity and empiric speculation. That is also not there. See, for fulfillment of material desires, one may worship the Supreme Lord, but the result of such worship is different. See, generally, Krishna does not fulfill anyone's material desires for sense enjoyment, but he awards such benedictions to worshippers of the Lord, for they ultimately come to the point of not desiring material enjoyment. See, Prabhupada says in the purport, the conclusion is that one must minimize the desires for material enjoyment. Minimize. And for this, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is described as Param, beyond anything material. Even Sripad Shankaracharya has also stated, Narayana Paro Avyaktat. The Supreme Lord is beyond the material encirclement. See, while explaining the word about Akamaha, Prabhupada says, desireless means not to be inert like the stone, but be conscious of one's actual position and thus desire satisfaction only for the Supreme Lord. See, when we go to Krishna with material desires, okay, it is Krishna's choice to either give or withhold what we desire. See, just like how a parent, we would choose not to fulfill the desires of the child which are dangerous for the child. So Krishna would not fulfill our desires if those desires prove to be detrimental to our spiritual well-being or would keep us remain entangled in cycle of birth. He will not do that. See, even then, if we still go to Krishna, the benefit is that Krishna would give us the gift of loving devotional service unto his lotus feet. He will still give. This is Bhagavatam 5:19-27. The demigods, while glorifying Krishna, what did they say? They said, the Supreme Personality of God fulfills the material desires of a devotee who approaches him with such motives. But it does not bestow benedictions upon the devotees that will cause him to demand more benedictions again. The Lord willingly gives the devotee shelter at his own lotus feet, even though such a person does not aspire for it. That is a mercy. And that shelter satisfies all his desires. That is the Supreme Personality's special mercy. See, Dhruva Maharaj, initially he approached Krishna with material desires. But when he started to honestly and sincerely follow the process taught by Narada Muni to attain Krishna, the Lord was so pleased that he not only fulfilled his material desire, but also gave him his shelter. So much so that Dhruva Maharaj started regretting as to why he had earlier approached the Lord with material desires. So pure devotees of the Lord simply want to be engaged in loving service of the Lord. And they would not desire anything else. See, in the pastime of Lord Ramachandra. We see that in order to get back Sita Mata, who was kidnapped by Ravana by crossing over the ocean, Lord Ram reached the ocean and fasted for 3 days, awaiting the arrival of the ocean personified. Now, when the ocean did not come, Lord exhibited his pastime of anger. And simply by glancing over the ocean, no, all the living entities within it, including crocodiles, sharks, they were agitated by fear. So then what happened? The personified ocean fearfully approached Lord Ramachandra, taking all the paraphernalia to worship him. Falling at the Lord's lotus feet, the personified ocean spoke. What did she say? Of, "O all-pervading Supreme Person, we are dull-minded and did not understand who you are. But now we understand that you are the Supreme Person, the Master of the entire universe, the unchanging and original personality of God." So the demigods are infatuated with mode of goodness, the Prajapatis with the mode of passion, and the Lord of Ghosts with the mode of ignorance. But you are the master of all these qualities. Bhagavatam 9, 10, 14 says. So Prabhupada writes, the word Jadadhyaha refers to intelligence, like that of an animal. A person with such intelligence cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So without being beaten, no, an animal cannot understand the purpose of a man. So similarly, those who are dull-minded, they cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when punished severely by the modes of material nature, no, they begin to understand Krishna. A Hindi poet, he has said, "Dukh se sab hari bhaje, sukh se bhaje koi. Sukh se agar hari bhaje, dukh ka than sahaya." When one is distressed, he goes to the temple to worship the Lord, or church, or whatever. But when he is opulent, no, he forgets the Lord. Therefore, punishment by the Lord through material nature is necessary in human society. For without it, no, men forget the Supreme Personality of the Lord because of their dull, blunt intelligence. There is a very nice story. See, a construction engineer, he was working on the 6th floor of a building, okay. So he calls the worker on the ground floor. Now, because of the construction noise, just like the noise we had yesterday evening, in the night, the worker doesn't hear his supervisor. So to draw his attention, the supervisor throws about a 50 rupee note, okay, down. It falls right in front of him. He picks it up and puts it in his pocket and continues working. So in the hope of capturing the worker's attention, supervisor throws a 500 rupee note now. Again the worker picks it up and puts it in his pocket. He goes back to work as if nothing has happened. Now the supervisor realizes he must do something more drastic to draw the attention of the worker. So what did he do? He picks up a small stone and throws it at the worker, and it hits him on the helmet. And this time the worker looks up. He sees the supervisor and thinks, "Why did he hit me on the head with a stone? Why did you?" The supervisor tells him, "I was the one throwing that 50 rupee note, 500 rupee note just to get your attention. But since that did not work, I had to throw a stone." The worker soon he realized that the stone was the only way the supervisor could get his attention. So now the worker and supervisor, they are finally communicating, okay. This is often the story of our life. Krishna, he wants to communicate with us. But when he gives us the gifts, we may not notice it, that Krishna is the gift giver. Just like the small children become absorbed with the gifts, right? And forget to thank the giver of the gifts. We also forget our Supreme Father. Maybe we think that our life is going well because we are doing the right things and working hard. Or that for some other reason we deserve the gifts we receive. This might be the thinking. Maybe we do not notice that Krishna is giving the gifts. But this often doesn't bring us closer to Krishna. So in this case, Krishna helps us by hitting us with the stone of life's troubles in small doses. So this causes us to begin thinking of and communicating with Krishna more and more. So such events usually cause us to become more and more serious about our Krishna consciousness. There's a beautiful verse in Bhagavatam 12, 13, 18. श्रीमद्भागवतं पुराणममलं यद्वैष्णवानां प्रियं यस्मिन् पारमहंस्यमेकममलं ज्ञानं परं गीयते तत्र ज्ञानविरागभक्तिसहितं नैष्कर्म्यमाविष्कृतं तच्छृण्वन् सुपठन् विचारणपरो भक्त्या विमोचे नरः. Srimad Bhagavatam is a spotless Purana. It is most dear to the Vaishnavas because it describes the pure and supreme knowledge of the Paramahamsas. This Bhagavatam reveals the means for becoming free from all material work, together with the process of transcendental knowledge, renunciation and devotion. Anyone who seriously tries to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, who properly hears and chants it with devotion, becomes completely liberated. So the word Paramahamsyam indicates that even completely liberated souls are eager to hear and narrate Srimad Bhagavatam. We will see how even demigods love to listen Bhagavatam from this incident. We are all after going off demigods to get benefits which are temporary. But see, demigods love to listen to Bhagavatam. Once there lived a very nice devotee of Krishna by the name Poontanam. He worshipped Guruvayurappan, Lord Krishna, with all his heart and soul. People loved him for his beautiful Bhagavatam discourses. See, there is a temple in North Kerala called Kottiyur. The significant deity in the temple is Lord Shiva. The temple was kept open only for a few days during a year. Okay, so there were no human activities in that place for the rest of the year. So once Poondanam reached Kottiyur temple, he had a bath in the holy river. He worshipped the compassionate Lord Shiva, felt happy and stayed there for a few days. Poontanam recited Bhagavatam every day in front of the deity, and several hundreds of people listened to his very sweet discourses on the wonderful pastime in the 10th canto, 60th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, named Lord Krishna teases Queen Rukmini. The Lord always plays a complete role in all the pastimes, right? Be it husband, be it whatever it is, so child. So let it be as Parthasarathi or being a son, husband, friend. He plays the role very spotlessly. The Lord desires to play with a great devotee of his beloved wife, Queen Rukmini. And he wanted to listen to her. So what happened in that 10th canto, 60th chapter? Krishna playfully asked Rukmini why she wanted to marry him when she had better choices like King Shushupala, Salva, Jarasandha. You know what happened? Hearing this, Queen Rukmini faints. And the Lord consoles her. The story is very big. You can go to the chapter and read it. So this is the gist of that chapter, right? He was teasing, right? Now Poontanam finished reading this part of the chapter and kept a bookmark at the end of the chapter so that he can continue reciting from the next chapter next day. Now next day, to his surprise, he found the bookmark at the beginning of the chapter again. So Poontanam read the same part for the second time. And this was repeated for several days. So it was the last day to close the temple for the year. Poontanam finished the discourse and was returning from the temple with other devotees. But somehow he left the Bhagavatam in the temple itself. Okay. So having walked some distance, suddenly he remembered that he forgot to bring the Bhagavatam with him. So he hurried back. He went back, crossed the river, reached the entrance to the temple, which was closed now. So he was all alone. Now he could hear somebody reciting the same part of the chapter from Bhagavatam inside the temple. So he looked through the keyhole. What did he see? He saw Lord Shiva himself reading Poontanam's Bhagavatam. And Mother Parvati and his other Bhutakanas were listening. Their eyes were filled with tears out of devotion. Now Poontanam stood there motionless. And he heard the whole recitation. At the end, Lord Shiva asked Parvati Devi, "Did you like the Bhagavatam recitation?" And Parvati replied, "Yes, it was nice, but it was not as good as Poontanam's." Lord Shiva replied, "Yes, that is true. I also like to hear Bhagavatam from Poontanam. That is why I place the bookmark again and again at the beginning of the same topic every day." It was Lord Shiva who was doing this. So hearing this Poontanam, who stood outside, he was shaken up and he uttered the holy name Krishna loudly. So when he watched again, Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati had disappeared from his sight. So this pastime clearly explains how all the living entities, including the demigods, love this great literature, Bhagavatam. See, every day before chanting this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we recite the 10 offenses, right? You know the second offense. We says to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. That is an offense. And even the eighth offense with regard to fruitive activities. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualist activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities. So these are offenses. See, we are always after possessions. We want this, I want that, I want that. And that is why we go for fruitive activities. Always expecting something. That's why Krishna says in 4.12, what does he say? Kangshant karmanam siddhim yajanta ya devataha kshipram himanushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. So my Guru Maharaj used to say, to avoid this, we must always visualize the last day of our life. At the last moment, all the possessions become useless. We should be attached only to the minimum extent and we must be detached to the maximum extent. See, we are worried about our own journey and only remembrance of Krishna will help. The visualization of the last day makes us completely straightforward and saves ourselves from criticism and so many other material things. And before closing, the 1-27 purport of Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says, Lord Shri Krishna, when he was personally present at Vrajadam, stopped the worship of the demigod Indra and advised the residents of Vraja to worship by their business and to have faith in God. Worshipping the multi-demigods for material gain is practically a perversity of religion. Prabhupada says, worshipping the multi-demigods for material gain is practically a perversity of religion. This sort of religious activity has been condemned in the very beginning of Bhagavatam as Kaitava Dharma, this cheating religion. There is only one religion in the world to be followed by one and all, and that is the Bhagavata Dharma, or the religion which teaches one to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna and no one else. Grantra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki nitai go, Vancha Kalpataru Bishkripa Sindhu Bhaye Vacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo. Thank you very much, Mataji, for this opportunity to glorify Krishna and purify ourselves. So by that we can improve our devotional service. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions or anything to share, Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So really auspicious. Everybody were able to come early in the morning for this Mangalarti and
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
so nice. Yes,
Hare Krishna
Mataji.
Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam.
Pranams.
Prabhuji, how should be our resolutions in Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji? Like Krishna conscious resolutions, how it should look like and what should we take?
Yeah, it should be
Can you
very
just
simple,
suggest
Mataji.
us?
Yeah, it's very, very simple. First of all, we should follow whatever Prabhupada has given, right? Full package. Getting up Mangalarti, right? Chanting. So maybe we can start, for example, we saw in the December the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, right? He recited all the 18 chapters on the Gita Jayanti day. It should not become a yearly occasion. Only on the Gita Jayanti you recite all the 18 chapters. Maybe every day you can start chapter, one chapter you can do. So in 18 days, again continue with that. So whole year you will be reciting the Bhagavad Gita. If it is very difficult, take maybe 5 verses of each chapter, 5 verses, then 10 or 10 verses. You can write down some points which you realize. You can read the translation and purport also. So you can start with that, maybe Bhagavad Gita, right? So that's the best thing. And to improve our chanting, what best is improve our chanting. We are chanting, but sometimes our mind always goes haywire, right? So maybe you can sit and chant one round. Let us see, Krishna, I have to chant one round. So close your eyes, chant, hearing your words. Just one full round, you can just hearing his words. Mind does not deviate. So thereby you can get the taste for chanting more and more. So maybe the resolution might be good, improve my chanting, or reading Bhagavad Gita, slokas nicely, memorizing the slokas. Maybe take one verse and start memorizing. Especially start with the 4 seed verses, right? 10.8, 9, 10, 11. Memorize the verse and translation. Start with this, right? And chanting. So, so no need to have so many things that I have to do this, I do that. No. Make it simple, don't complicate. So start with 4 seed verses. So that this year, 4 seed verses and translation within my throat. Right? Wherever we go, recite and chant. Hare Krishna. I hope it was useful.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
pranam to everybody.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Give my Dandavats to Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
He's doing. I 1 second.
It's okay, Mataji. I don't want to disturb you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
He's doing his press, so he won't be
Please,
able
please.
to answer.
Please go. You give it
Yes,
offline.
I'll tell him to talk to you,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Nice to see you on the first of the year. अच्छे
Hare Krishna.
devotees को देखे तो सारा साल अच्छा जाएगा. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare
Guru
Krishna.
Ki
Hari Bol.
So nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Dandavat
Happy New
pranam.
Year to
Prabhuji,
everybody.
Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat pranam. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam. Hare Krishna devotees assembled here. Jai to all the devotees.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat pranam. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mataji.